Nick Kypreos here for the Real Kyper at Noon show. A bit of a shock the other day when Jim Rutherford announced his resignation as the general manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins. And to say that we were all taken back by it is a bit of an understatement. This is big news. Why? Because this is an organization associated with what is arguably the best player in modern day history, Sidney Crosby. So what does this mean to Pittsburgh? What does it mean to Sid? And what does it mean to the rest of his teammates who are in a win now mode? Let's bring in a guy that knows something a little bit about resignations, firings, hirings at the managerial level. Doug Maclean, you've done it. You've lived it through the Columbus Blue Jackets. The narrative on this resignation, Mac, was it was just the right time. And that was a quote that was led by Jim Rutherford and followed by a lot of people in the media. But me and you, we don't buy it.
Yeah, I never had the luxury of resigning. I've always been fired.
Do many have the luxury of resigning? Does Jimmy Rutherford have the luxury of resigning here, or does it not pass the smell test here?
Well, there's a couple of questions. What does it do to the Pens? Is it accurate? And what does it do to Malkin and Crosby's future?
But before we get into that, I want to just dissect a little bit, Mac, on where you thought that this announcement came from, Mac. Was this all Jimmy? Was this the Penguins? They deny that there was a philosophical difference, and that's according to Penguin CEO David Morehouse. But Mac, nobody quits 7 games in when the season before you were embarrassed and wanted to come back with a vengeance. You made a big trade. Nobody quits 7 games in.
We know Jimmy Rutherford pretty well, Hall of Fame general manager, Stanley Cup winner multiple times. What hockey guy quits, as you said, 7 games in on his team? And I've listened to some media reports saying it was the right time. BS, it was the right time. This is a terrible time. This is a terrible time when you've got a team that's a lot of people picking not to make the playoffs, a team that I believe will make the playoffs because of Sid. But the general manager is an important part. And they turn it over to an interim guy who's a scout from Sweden. Are you kidding me? They don't even have an in-house guy that's ready to take over. So to me, this looks like President Morehouse, Jimmy into a dispute. People say it's over Sullivan, whether he should keep his job, whether Letang should be fired or traded, whether Malkin should be. Come on, this is a dispute. And I'm not buying that Jimmy Rutherford resigned here. I'm not buying it. I know Jimmy pretty well. He's a competitive guy. I'm sorry. Something, as you said, doesn't pass the smell test here.
So, Mac, we know that they don't want to get into greater detail other than it was the right time. So information is lacking in that capacity. As far as the detail of his contract, it's 2 things were crystal clear. It wasn't a health issue, and Jimmy was in the last year of his deal. And we've talked a little bit about this, and we've talked about it in great lengths with a coach in Vancouver who's on the last year of his deal. And we know he doesn't like it. Nobody likes it. But when you're Jimmy Rutherford and you've got 3 Stanley Cups under your belt and you're 71 years old and you're established and you can still show that you can get the job done, nobody likes to be in their last year of their deal. Is it just safe to say that anybody that has any stature at all in the NHL in the last year of his deal is almost insulted by it? Does this come into play?
No, it most definitely comes into play, and you are insulted by it. I've had it happen to me, and you know, it's an uncomfortable position to be, to say to your owner, you know, what is going on with my situation? You know, here's my coach's situation. Here's my situation. Here's your situation, Mr. President of the team. And I'm the guy that's in the trenches, and I'm the guy without a deal. And, you know, it's insulting. So, could they not come to an agreement? There's multiple factors here that probably led to this, but I don't buy for a minute that Jimmy walked out the door. He's not a quitter. So don't anybody tell me it was the right time to do this.
Well,
something happened.
And this is, again, a guy that has the pedigree of one of the more successful managers in history, Mac. He's not, he's 10 years younger than Lou Lamoriello, but they've got the same number of Stanley Cups. And you just wonder what this does a little bit. It's also awfully clear that he is not retiring. He's going to take the rest of the year off and reevaluate. That comment alone tells me he's got a lot of juice left here, Mac.
I mean, look, he still is focused on winning. And when you have Sid Crosby and Malkin and Letang and company, you have to be focused on winning. You're not going to walk into the office and say, Sid, I'm going to rebuild. No, I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. So you know what? They've got to be focused on winning the cup. There's no way around it here.
And that's been Jimmy right from the get-go. No one's made more trades than Jim Rutherford the last little while. He has been in a win mode for the very second that he showed up in Pittsburgh. Yep. I think as many as 23, 24 trades in the last couple of years, Mac. And he's made some good ones, Mac. You go to the Kessel. Everybody in Toronto calling that an untradeable contract in Toronto. He not only found a way to get Kessel, he found a way to win 2 Stanley Cups with him. Bonino, Matt Cullen out of Carolina, where he knew him well. Trevor Daley, he turned a situation into Stanley Cups with him. This guy is all about winning now. But in saying that, Mac, there's a look at the future, and we just touched on it. And you've got a soon-to-be 34-year-old Sidney Crosby. July, Malkin turns 35. April, Letang turns 34. There's a new general manager coming in, and we don't believe it's going to be the interim who sticks around. Everybody might want this job, Mac, on the surface, but I'm not sure you're the guy that needs to figure this out in the next 2 to 3 years. I'm not sure there's a lot of guys out there that can handle it.
Yeah, and that's the frightening part for the president of the team, who, by the way, I hear he thinks he's a little bit of a hockey expert. You know what? I mean, that's the frightening part. If you had somebody in-house, if you had a Billy Guerin in-house, if you had, a Botterill in-house, if you had a Tommy Fitzgerald in-house, guys that were there in the past who have moved on to general manager jobs, that's a different story. But, you're telling me that you have this dispute with your general manager and you don't have somebody in-house. And I'm looking at names listed last night by analysts, and I'm thinking, whoa, this is a pretty big job here. And who is going to come in that's going to be able to handle this and deal with the superstars? This isn't Ray Shero walking in when Sid's a kid. This isn't Jimmy walking in when Sid's in his prime. This is walking in when these guys are in the twilight. Still superstars, still unbelievable. But wow, this is scary for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
So on the surface, on the here and now, they should still be in Stanley Cup mode this year.
Totally, they have to be
next year. But Mac, they've paid an awful price. Jimmy Rutherford has paid an awful price for those 2 Stanley Cups because they aren't sitting on a couple of blue chip, can't miss prospects right now. The cupboards are fairly dry. They just came off a draft where they did not pick until I think 52 or 53. Next year, Mac, they've got no first rounder. They got 1 in the 2nd, 1 in the 5th, and then 3 in the 7th.
Right.
You're not getting any better anytime soon here.
No, and
after Sid Malkin.
But that was the mandate. Win cups in Sid's prime. Win cups when these guys are ready. And that's the job he did. Now, my question is, where's Mario Lemieux? in this. Mario Lemieux is a minority owner. Burkle is in California. Where's Mario, I got to believe, was fairly responsible for bringing Jimmy in. And I would love to know what Mario Lemieux's feelings are on this as a minority owner.
We know
he's the hockey guy within the ownership group. He is the hockey guy.
And we know he's never been comfortable in front of cameras. He'll continue to make, I'm sure, key decisions or help with key decisions moving forward. You won't hear or see from him. That's the way it's worked for him, and it's worked well, and it's led to Stanley Cup. So nobody can really knock Mario for that.
No, I would just like to know what his thoughts are, but we're not going to hear it unless I get to play golf with him. We're not going to hear, and I haven't had any invitations recently.
Not yet. So, Mac, how quickly do you see this happening where they go get a guy? Now, it really is a tough decision in terms of who you come in next, because even if Pitt wins another cup or two, there's going to be a time when you have to unload and start building. It's going to be ugly, Mac. In 3 or 5 years in Pittsburgh, we know it's going to get ugly when Sid and Malkin are no longer there in Letang.
Your big decision is, do you go with a very experienced general manager type, like a Jimmy Rutherford? Like, we know Lou Lamoriello, Lou Lamoriello got fired in Toronto too. We know that. Jimmy Rutherford, whatever happened here, I know what I feel happened, but that's okay. You got to come with an unbelievably experienced guy if you think you can still win. And if not, you've got to go with a Drury type or a Fuda type or, a John Ferguson, guys that have got good experience, but maybe have not been GMs that have paid a price.
Well, and if you do want a guy with a pretty good reputation, Mac, that's a $3 or $4 million salary. Okay. Now, Botterill had a horrible experience in Buffalo. And you can always question whether or not he'd be the right guy just based on some bad decisions he's made in Buffalo. But we do know that he'd probably take the job for $1 million, 1-2. Is
lined up to take the job at $1 million. People will be lined up to take it.
But
maybe even less.
But is that the right move? Like, Botterill has a history there. They know him. I'm sure that they can.
Like about this,
I don't want to use the term control him, but they can certainly have a better handle on his decisions than, say, someone that would come in with way more experience, like a Brian Burke, to say, keep your hands off my steering wheel.
I like to see the presidents now who like to have their fingers all over the hockey operations department, and this guy in Pittsburgh is no different. They love to have their fingers all over the decisions and like to be in the hockey conversation all the time. I like to see them now step up and make this big decision. This isn't like hiring a VP of analytics. This isn't like hiring a VP of corporate sales. This is hiring your guy that's got to work with Sid, Malkin, Letang, and company.
Well, we know presently the interim is Patrick Alvin. Am I pronouncing it right, Mac? I wouldn't know this guy if I ran him over with the Leafs, Zamboni, and the driver.
You're close enough on the name.
Amateur scouting. Aren't you nervous that this guy's got the steering wheel for 5 minutes?
Like, I am blown away by this, that there's nobody in this. I mean, obviously, Jason Karmanis was brought in from Carolina when he was fired there by Jimmy Rutherford. He was fired a few months ago, caught me by surprise. Everybody else is left that were top hockey guys. This would make me real nervous. What is Sid saying today? What is Mario saying? What is Sid saying? What's Malkin saying? Anyway, Mr. President, what are you going to do?
Sid has 4 more years on his contract, Mac. When he signed it, we probably didn't think the last 2 would see the light of day. I got to think Sid's not looking any further than this year, possibly next. But after that, I get really nervous for Pittsburgh Penguin fans.
Yep, for sure.
Here is the biggest question of them all. Is Doug Maclean interested in the general managing job of the Pittsburgh Penguins? That's what our followers
take it. Tell President Morris I'd take it for $250 a year.
That wouldn't cover your wine. $250,000 a year.
You know what? I'm not interested. I did interview for the coaching job with Jimmy Rutherford a number of years ago, but no, I'm not interested. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I wouldn't be on after this clip. I wouldn't be on Morehouse's list. I wouldn't be on it before.
I don't know. Sometimes people like not necessarily the people that think that that's what you want to hear, but what you don't want to hear. And that's
Exactly.
you. That's you. Challenging people, making them think. Don't always be a yes man. People don't hire yes men all the time.
Don't worry about that.
Okay, Doug Maclean. There you go, folks, on the Real Kyper at Noon show. There's our breakdown of the Pittsburgh Penguins and what Jimmy Rutherford's resignation mean to them, short term and long term. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day. Hope you enjoyed that breakdown of Jimmy Rutherford stepping down as general manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Our thanks, of course, to Doug Maclean, always coming in with his expertise. Look for our show. If you're a first-time watcher, subscribe. We'll give you all the details on when we're up and what you can hear. If you like us, hit the like button, and we'll see you soon on the Real Kyper at Noon show.